So, the North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association recognizes 30 different breeds of versatile hunting dog, and one of them is mine. Hi, my name is Braden and for my senior project, I decided to train my dog to be fully capable of hunting upland and waterfowl birds for this hunting season. So, before I talk about the training process, I think it's important to ask the question, how have dogs evolved over time to fit the needs of modern hunters? So for as long as 20,000 years, the dogs have been hunting alongside man. And over that time, dogs, through selective breeding and different training practices, have been bred to have specialized hunting techniques put into their minds. Take, for example, the Portuguese water dog right there. That is a dog that was bred to swim downstream and herd large schools of fish upstream into the nets of fishermen. And then over there, Labrador Retriever is like how it sounds, a dog that was bred to retrieve field animals that were shot by the hunters. All right. So the breed of my dog that I train is the Deutsche Drahthaar. Now, a brief history on this dog. During the period of the 1800s, hunting with a dog was something that could only be done by people who had a lot of money, who could afford to pay for these hunting dogs. Retrieving dogs, pointing dogs, things like that. And as money became more available to the common man, a desire to go out and hunt with these dogs built up within them. And it became absolutely necessary for a dog that could do it all, that could retrieve, that could track, that could point, to be made. And that's where the versatile hunting dog came from, and that's where this guy came from. And that, Mr. O'Connell, is where all the red flags came from. All right, this is my dog Otis. Isn't he cute?
Yeah.
So, when I started this, endeavor to train my dog, I ran into one big problem. I had no idea what to do. I had never trained a dog before, and most of all, I never trained one to go hunting. Now, I've been hunting with dogs before, but never trained one. And I didn't really know what to do, because no matter how many websites I opened up or books I read on the topic, I could never really get a grasp on where to start, how to do it. And the ability to train a hunting dog is something that takes years of discipline and practice to master, and I just didn't have that. But luckily, I had somebody at my disposal who did, and probably made this project entirely possible. So the person you see right there, that's my dad. Now, he's been hunting and training dogs for hunting for as long as I've been alive. In fact, longer. And I knew that if one person could help me with this thing, it would be him. So I went up to him and I asked him, can you help me with this thing? And he said, absolutely. And we started off with pretty basic training with retriever training. Hold on one second. Now, for retriever training, you need something like this. This is a retrieving bumper. What you do is that you throw it. I'm not going to throw it. But you throw it, and then the dog will run out and grab it and hopefully bring it back to you. Now, with puppies, you have to make sure that you put it on a lead or a leash or something, and you throw it far enough so you can reel them back in. And eventually, as the training proceeds, the dog will be able to do it on his own, with commands, of course, and the retrieving training will be out of the way. Now, I did that, and we were successful. Now, the next training was pointing training. This one's a little bit more complicated. For this one, you need to take a bird, plant it in the field, and take your dog and walk it around the yard, and hopefully it finds the bird, first of all, which it needs to, and then once it finds it, he has to point it, which means that he stares at it like that until you walk up on it and it flushes off the ground. Now, this was where a big problem came in because Otis is still a puppy. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to grab it, he wanted to claw at it, and he wanted to play with it. So I had to keep going at it. When he would do that, you had to pick him up, bring him back to the very beginning, do it all over again. This went on for about 2 weeks, until eventually he pointed for the first time and held it for about 10 seconds. And this was a big, big step, because when you hold that first point for 10 seconds, you know that you can make him hold it for longer. And eventually, as hunting season drew near, he was able to hold it for as long as 4 minutes. Now, you don't need to hold it that long because you're going to flush it out and kill it, but still, it's a big step. So the people that you see here were also a big help in doing this too. Because when I was doing the training and everything like that, these guys were friends with my dad, and he told them about it, and they were happy to help. And they gave me new methods for training, like wrapping duck feathers around this thing and wings to make it more appealing for the dog. And then when you want to do pointing training or tracking training, you can take a dead bird from the freezer, or you can buy one and drag it around the yard, and the dog can track it down and point it and do everything it needs to do with it. So they came really in handy. Now you're probably thinking, you spent all this time with this dog, you did all this work, was it ultimately successful? Yes. As you can see, every single bird that is on these slides, Otis successfully retrieved, pointed, and tracked down, all on his own. And doing this project and putting it all together really made me reflect and think back on all the times that I had spent with him, all the time I had trained him, and it really was amazing to look at something that you worked hard for about a month, and seeing the progress fall right in front of you, literally. And I recommend anybody in here who has a dog or is going to get a dog that you train it yourself, because I'm telling you, it's a really, really special experience. Now to wrap things up, I wanted to say this, that no man can follow a rollicking, bungling, and overjoyous pup all day without laughing a lot and crying a little. Now this is 100% true, and if you've ever trained a dog or been with a dog before, you know what this means. Thank you, and are there any questions? Yes?
Will you continue hunting with Otis?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for as long as he's alive. Yes, Logan?
It's my understanding that this type of deal can be